Ladies, gentlemen, everything in between. Welcome back to Midnight Oil Motorsports. My name's Ian. Today, we're working again on my 1991 Mazda Miata work in progress here. So, switching gears a little bit. Last video, I know we were working on the hood. Hood's pretty much good. Hood's ready for primer, but we're gonna need to start getting some other stuff ready for primer. So, let's get into it. All right, first and foremost here, we'll adjust the elephant in the room because it's right in front of me. I recently just built a little thing here to go in this doorway with some very cheap box fans to be able to extract some of the fumes and some of the dust out of here. So hopefully my garage doesn't become a mess like it was when I stripped my first fender. First fender over here, I didn't do on camera because I want to do some experimenting and trying to figure out what's going on. Don't worry about down there. Down here I screwed up and I didn't strip everything because that's going to get chopped off anyways. So this came out pretty good. It definitely needs to be blocked a little bit. If I can get this to focus here, you can see a little bit of orange peely texture. Was having some issues with the gun, but other than that, it actually came out really good. It's really, really durable. In fact, I did accidentally drop something on this, and instead of it chipping, it actually left a little dent right there. But oh well, you can barely tell. It's not. Oh, there you go, right there. So yeah. Anyways, so what's the goal for today? Do I know I'm gonna get primed? I have no idea, but come along for the adventure. I think I'm gonna start somewhere back here. Actually, gonna start with some of the plastic parts because I'm gonna be doing this over a 2-day process. Might explain some stuff along the way, might do some time lapsing. I don't really know what the plan is for this video, but you know what? I'm here to document it. I'm here to have some fun. So come along for the ride and let's see what happens. If you want to know the process more in detail, I can answer some questions, but other than that, I think I'm just gonna get into it, start stripping. Maybe I should word that differently. Anyways, let's get right into it. Grab a cold beverage. This one is YouTube approved. No sippy cup today because I left it in the house. Hello there, Miata. Let's get right into it. Alright, so it probably looks like I've had a mask on my face for the past 3 hours here. Ooh, yeah. Because I have. Stopped the time lapse early because I assumed you probably didn't want to see me hand sand the rest of the nooks and crannies for another 2 hours. So here's what I got. Part is mostly stripped. These black portions right here are actually what is behind the white. The white is what this was originally painted before it was red. The black is part of the fiberglass gel coat dealio. And you can see there's a couple spots like right here where I sanded a little too far down, and that is fiberglass. So these panels are notorious for being awful and very brittle, and this is no different. You can see cracking here that was underneath the Plastidip, that the Plastidip covered up, that I'm gonna have to probably use a little bit of filler to fix. I'm gonna see after I prime it. Primer might fill those. Nice thick primer like what I've got might fill those up pretty good. But you can see I didn't really want to go as far back as the white, but I had to because the primer that I had sprayed 6-7 years ago did not adhere properly. So Yep. Forgot to mention the Extractor 3000 here, which is spinning on its own because there's already air flowing through there. Holy crap, does that work well? I did not sweep. There is barely any dust on the floor. I mean, like, there's some, right? You see the bigger pieces of plastic, but like most of the dust is out there. Pretty cool. All right, next we got the bumper up and ready to go here, so just gotta take this bracket off and start sanding. Whole lot of real estate here, but hopefully I should be able to get most of it with the sander. Should be easier than that. So let's get it. All right, it's the next day. Still in the same clothes because got about 3 layers underneath this, so just a little dusty. Whatever. Anyways, think as far as I wanted to last night. We've got this bumper, which you could probably see from me sanding it, that it's about 2370 billion different colors. We got the original color of the plastic, then we have gray primer on top of that. Then we have the original red. Then we have another layer of red. Then on top of that we have white. And then we have blue. You see the blue? There's the blue. And on top of that, then you had the Plastidip. So, yeah, this has been really fun to strip down. I'm trying to get everything down to the original red that I can, because it's gonna make priming it a whole lot better and have something a whole lot better to stick to. So at the very least, I'm trying to get rid of most of this blue. The problem is on the top here and on the sides are definitely where they applied the paint the thickest. There's got to be about 11 jillion different layers of blue on here, and because I can take 80 grit and sit in one spot and it'll still be blue, and it's a new sheet. It's not like it's an old sheet 80 grit. So yeah, we're doing our best here. Just gonna keep on trucking today. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get any of the chassis done today for priming, but you know what, we're just gonna keep at it and do what we do best, and that's hold a sander and move it around a little bit. But hey, you know what, stay tuned, and maybe I'll do something more interesting, but probably not a whole lot of sanding. It's gonna be a boring video. All right, so I've been sanding for even longer now. Here's what I got so far. Pretty much done with the 80. It does kind of look like a mess. Got most of the blue off on the corner here. There's still some of it that's on. It's really, really thick over there, so I did quite a bit of sanding. So it's nice and smooth though, so I'm fine with leaving it on. Only problem that might cause some adhesion issues with the primer, but you know, worst comes to worst, I sand that back down and do it again. But inside the mouth here and inside the lights are definitely a little bit harder to get to, so we did our best sanding all that off. Tried our best. Really only so much we can do. Focused a lot of time on the top here because this is where the light hits, number one. Number two, it's the top of the bumper, so you're gonna see this a whole lot. All right, after some more sanding, here's what we got. Now, to the untrained eye, this looks like a disaster. And, well, to the somewhat trained eye, it's still a disaster. But we've got most of it all sanded down. We really argue that maybe I should sand down the plastic, but I also don't want to go too far because then it's harder to see how far you are. But got everything all sanded down. All we got to do now is put some Prep-Sol over it, cut it down to 180, and then a quick pass over with 400 over both of them. So we should be good there. And all right, some people will just paint or prime or anything just on a stand, right? Problem with that is then start to build up paint on these things and they start to then mar up parts, right? So you could, in theory, just replace these, or I remember at the body shop, techs would wrap up a bunch of painter's tape instead of using these, right? So I don't have an unlimited budget. I don't. So what I like to do, just a tip for some of you guys, I like to use some painter plastic and just drape it over the top. And if the wind's really getting to it, I'll tape it to the legs so that the whole stand's protected and everything else. It also helps that you really don't need too much in order to make this work here. This is already 16 feet wide. So there we go. Don't put a razor blade in your mouth. Do as I say, not as I do. Real nice, real easy. Doesn't use that much material. That's probably 50 cents worth of plastic. And instead of spending another 30 bucks on another doodad or on some new foam pads, no, it's real nice and easy. Now the other thing I recommend you do, and you probably see that I did it a little bit on the floor here, but sweep up. Make sure everything's as clean as it can be. You're never gonna have a workspace that's too clean to be painting, right? So really the idea here is you just want it to be as clean as possible in order to get the best result. Now the next thing here is that I'm just priming. So if I screw up a little bit here, it's not the end of the world. Right? So if I screw up here, all that's going to happen is I get to sand it down, and if I sand too far down, then I get to spot in some primer. Don't really want to do that, but might have to. Now the other thing is you guys have seen it too. Let me spin you around over here. The nice thing about the plastic is, see this horse over here, which I have been sanding on. You can tell. Whoop. Sorry to discombobulate you. It's all dusty, right? And I'm going to wipe this off, but putting the plastic over there, if I don't clean it 110% perfect, it's going to protect it. You're not going to get the backdraft of dust coming from the floor up underneath the part and then onto it, because that's going to happen. You're spraying down, air pressure is going to push that dust on the floor up, and then it will land on your nice wet primer. So moral of the story is, wipe down the parts with the Prepsol, or I was using wax and grease remover. You can use tack rags too. Some people like to use tack rags then a wax and grease remover, so you're using less product. But for me, I just have wax and grease remover. That's what I'm using. It gets the parts really clean. You can see I'm using gloves. Gloves will help you keep things clean here. You don't want to touch the parts with your oily hands, because that'll make spots on the paint where it won't want to stick, because it's grease and not nice clean area. All right, so here's what we got here. Here's our mixing cup. There's a lid for it up there in my cabinet. We've got our primer. Omni is what I could afford, so it's still professional level, even though it's toward the lower end of it. How do you mix primer? Well, you don't even really need to be able to read. Right here, on most professional paint products, bring it in a little bit closer. Boop, boop. It tells you exactly what you're after here, okay? You are after, whoops daisies, a 2-to-1 mix of 2 MP170, which is the primer, and 1 part MP175. Well, this is MP175 right here. What does it say right on there? Oops, so daisies, come on, let's get up there. There we go. What does it say right on there? Epoxy primer catalyst, right? That's it. That's really all you need. Sometimes on this, a little bit of the cheaper end of cheaper side of primer here, you may need to add a little bit of reducer in order to get it to atomize properly. I did that my last batch, but again, that's because I was running my pressures too low, not really knowing what was going on, and just kind of shooting in the dark here. So here we go. I got my cup here. What does all this stuff mean on here? Well, we have a mix here that said 2-to-1 on our cup. So we can use this, which is 2-to-1-to-1. That's fine, because all this other stuff is 8-1-to-1, 6-1-to-1. This is if the primer or if any paint requires a hardener or thinner. I don't need that. All I need is the catalyst and the primer. So here we go. We're gonna need quite a bit of primer, so in order to get the 2-to-1 here, we drop this other one here. You can see it on there. 2-to-1-to-1? No, 2-to-1. How do you read these? Well, let's say you just need a little bit. Then you'd measure for the first one, and then that's your 2. And then your second one, you go to your 1. You always want to make sure that when you're measuring these, you're always aiming for the same number. So if you were going to do a 2-to-1-to-1, it'd be, and you just needed that much, you go 3, 3, 3. But in this case scenario, we're going to need quite a bit, because we're doing that entire bumper and that finish panel. So I'm going to guess I'm probably going to need somewhere around here for the 5. I would think I'm going to need a little bit more than that, but worst case scenario, I just end up mixing some more. It's not that big of a deal to me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take our primer here. Also these, oops daisies, come on now. these handles, these lids for order on Amazon, they're like 15 bucks each. They make pouring paint so much easier. It's really no brainer to me. I love these things when I was at the body shop, and given that they're available at home for a not ridiculous price, even though they're all plastic, the frequency I use them, it's a-okay by me. So, any Hoosier, we're going to our first 5 here. Looks like we separated here a little bit. There we go. One last strip. There we go. Okay. So we take that, we wipe it. So it's going to start sticking to itself, and I don't really want to deal with that. Then we take, and since I'm standing up here, I'm just going to grab a top because the tops are nice. Okay, so we're at the first 5 here, and then we go to our second 5. And I am sitting here eye level with you as well, so we're on the same page here. Go to our second 5 with Catalyst. Okay, and there we go. So that's all in our liner. We can see that it is 2 separate entities here. We have our hard cup and we have our soft cup. Let's put our top right on there. Clicks down, make sure it's sealed all the way around. Very nice. Move this, put our top around here. And at the body shop, we had a nice thing to shake everything up for God knows how long, however long you want. I don't have that, so I'm going to start shaking here for probably about 5 minutes. Alright, first off, very important here. Oh. Oops. Very important. Now that this is mixed, kind of on a time crunch here. Second thing, mask. Very, very important. If it's airborne and you breathe in, it's getting in your lungs. Not worth the mesothelioma. Anyways, I'm gonna start on the smaller part here in order to try to get my bearings. But other than that, let's get this show on the road. Okay, here we are. After letting the GoPro charge for a little bit, this is what we got here. Everything came out pretty okay. There's a little bit of orange peely texture. That could be because of either my spray gun or because of the primer itself. I'm not really too sure. It could also be because of my technique, which is not great. I already know that, and I need to work on it. But you know what? We've got it pretty good here. These little indents I tried fixing. They do not fix well, so I'm just going to leave them there. It's fine. Doesn't bother me too much. Bumper came out really, really good. I had one run here. And other than that, it came out very even across the entire bumper for it being just a little orange peely. Nice thing is, this is primer, so I'll take a little bit of 6-800 grit and just go. I'm good. It'll be nice and smooth, nice, and then ready for paint. Now, to this other can of worms, the finish panel. I thought this was going to be a lot worse than this. Turns out to be the other way around. I put the paint on just paint. I keep calling it paint, it's primer. I put the primer on way too thick here. So we got a couple areas like this where we got a little bit of wrinklage right there. That's either I put it on too thick or there's contaminant under the paint or primer. Gosh diddly dang. Contaminant under the primer. It is what it is. I'll sand this down. Should probably only be able to sand maybe about there and should be all good. There's another spot gets really bad actually is over here. This is most likely some contaminant underneath the paint primer that I need to work with. Other than that, this actually came out about the same as the bumper on all the parts that you're gonna end up seeing besides that little corner over there. So other than that, I gotta call it a night. Getting real late, but I appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been fun. I appreciate people following along. If you enjoy it, just throw a like. If you learned something, give me a like. If you don't like how I did things, don't give me a like. If you want to throw a comment down, throw a comment down. I actually watch those a lot and like to respond to people, but nobody comments, so that's okay. I'll take good and bad comments. I don't care. But hey, if this video gets as many likes as the front bumper had paint, which is seven layers of paint, this video gets 7 likes, I will do something. I don't know. I'll do something. I'll do whatever the top comment suggests that's YouTube appropriate. Hey, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate everyone that does. Thanks for being you. Get out there, do something, because the only way that your project's going to make progress is if you work on it. Or I guess if you pay somebody else to do it, but I like working on my stuff. So enjoy your night. Enjoy your morning whenever you're watching this. Peace.